Hey, it's Soul with another video, and today I'm going to go over my plans for the midnight launch, from early access behavior to like what I'm going to do with alts and professions and so on and so forth. This isn't exactly a guide, and I'm making a few assumptions here and there, but I'm going to drop some information in all this commentary. And in case you're looking for some inspiration, maybe there's something you can pick up. Please like this video, subscribe for more wild coverage, and catch me where I'm live. So there are a few certain targets I want to hit so I can start off the expansion relaxed and minimally prepared, and of course not totally clueless. That's kind of the crux here. I'm not trying to do any optimizing here at all, but I do want to present to you like all the possibilities to consider. So personally, I aim to have one main character, one gathering character, and then a small army of alts who will be cooldown crafters, as I call them, for professions. They're going to be pumping out high quality reagents, while I also keep an eye on the market. I'll be flipping materials for a profit whenever or wherever I can, because the money can get crazy good. So step 0 is some very basic preparation, cleaning out inventory for all the characters involved. It's a bit easier these days because a bank alt can hold a lot more storage than ever before. So if you're like a last minute slacker like me, and maybe a lot of you are, you can shove a whole bunch of garbage onto those alts and you can sort it out later. As in, like, maybe the next expansion or something like that. You'll also want to clear out your quest logs for the character who you know is going to be the one that's doing a lot of side quests. Someone who is using heroic gear from Season 3, they won't be replacing anything until close to the last zone, the Void Storm zone, depending on their character level. Gear, it does help, but it's really not all that important in case you're stressing over rolling a new main to play for launch. Like seriously, as long as your character is level 78, you're pretty much fine. You don't need like a full champion set from the pre-patch event. You can have a mix of gear from Time Walking and Shadowlands for all I care. The bits of gear you get from the leveling campaign and the random drops, it's going to be more than sufficient. The small difference is going to be with the Heronir, and maybe we'll talk about that in like a somewhat future guide. The same approach applies when it comes to consumables, outside of anything that you already have that you're just trying to get rid of anyway. So things that I'll keep in my inventory will be whatever I, again, might as well take advantage of. So a few bits of like food and flasks or potions or whatever. You're going to hear a lot of tips from folks out there about like min-maxing gems and enchants for the sake of squeezing out a little bit more run speed and throughput, which is very clever. I also think it's like way more effort than it's worth. Now, as a tank, what I tend to do is grab all the mobs in the area and let the other folks who might be around me, let them do the heavy lifting with all the damage. And if those people are ahead of me because they have the crazy run speed, okay, cool, then I'll just tag them, and then I'll get some credits. And, basically I'm just trying to leverage other folks' work and turn that into experience bonuses for me. So what you want to have is some sort of instant cast spell like a Moonfire that you can use and then just pop if you're leveling around other people. It's funny because I'm basically telling y'all, if you think you need to get caught up or if you think you need to be strong enough to survive leveling, you don't gotta stress about that. You'll be fine. Like, don't fall into that trap. Your time is better spent figuring out what you want your Heronir character to look like. Before the expansion launches, you can stage yourself at the faction capital or in Dorngold. When launch time hits, we'll get a quest that directs us to a few NPCs who will teleport us to the starting experience. So there's no boats to try hopping into. It's going to be nice and easy, although I think I just jinxed us, I'm sorry. Once the launch happens, you want to consider switching characters to start up them earning the rested experience bonus. Okay, I actually don't know if that's still a thing. It's just more like a ritual that I do so I can make myself feel better. As for who or what to level with, the natural action is to run the character who will give the most, quote, comfortable experience. That could mean the one who can't die or the one who's one-shot and everything. It really could be the one that gives you the best transbog for the in-game cutscenes. Really, it doesn't matter who you choose, and that's never going to change. For the leveling path, we do have a bit of flexibility, but there are still some guardrails, and I'll lay everything out here. Zone-wise, we do need to go through the Eversong Forest zone first. Then we can branch off to Zul'Aman, Herondar, or the Erator experience, which isn't really a zone, and then finally Voidstorm. That's accessible once the 3 earlier branches are completed. In my testing, I happened to not hit any stops where I needed to reach like a certain level in order to progress on the main story quest line, and I didn't complete any side quests at all. And now I might be wrong too, but it's also not that big of a deal even if you run into those stops. So which zones do you do first? It's kind of hard to say, but we can always pivot from one zone to the other or to the Eritor experience if we run into issues of instability or if we find these bottlenecks or bugs in questing. My plan so far, though, is to probably do the Eritor experience first, after Eversong, that is. The questline, it takes us to a number of legacy zones, which I want to tell myself those might be a bit more stable than the brand new zones. The drawback, though, is unlike a zone, this questline, it's pretty on rails, so I won't be able to distract myself with like side quests if the traffic looks like it's a bit too heavy. In the end, the order of the zones that you do, it's not a huge deal, but overall, you still want to get the campaign done first, even if your level isn't maxed out yet. Doing so will change the state of zones, where world quests will pop up, and the zones will scale to your current level. It's basically adventure mode. This lets you go back and complete quests from previous zones like Eversong, and you still get the full quest experience credit. It also means the mobs, they're not going to have a level difference either, so while there's kind of a give and take, there's less thinking involved with this whole planning process. Like, you don't have to feel like you have to complete side quests as you go from zone to zone unless you want to. So, I mean, really any approach you decide to take, it's not going to feel all that awkward. Once you've completed the campaign and leveled up and explored all the zones, you'll nail an achievement that unlocks Steady Flight for the Warband, and this pretty much marks a good time to start messing with alts. For me, leveling alts, it's not a priority at all. Like, I'll be playing them, but only at a capacity of like gathering and crafting. Midnight professions are learned at level 78. Fetching the profession treasures, it should be a cinch at this point because I've unlocked all the zones already, and then I can start getting to work. Now, if you happen to be mining or urban, you'll want to pay attention to the biomes you visit in the 4 zones. They help dictate the kinds of special nodes and moats you find. The exception is the Voidstorm zone, where you'll only find the void kinds of moats for crafting. As for lumber, it's probably not a resource I'm going to prioritize while roaming the land, at least not during this early launch period. I'm playing the speculation game for this part, but I think a lot of folks are going to put housing kind of sort of in the back seat in these first couple of weeks because they're going to be busy getting acclimated into what is midnight. So if I happen to be out gathering, I'm going to prioritize an herb over a lumber thing, for example. And I see that as more valuable because, one, the economy is fresh and everything is going to sell instantly. And two, I can sell herbs directly or any of that stuff. Like, I need to get a lot of other materials if I want to take this lumber that I got and translate it or craft it into something sellable. And imagine all those resources that I put into that I probably could sell faster and for more gold in their raw form. So again, maybe I'll grab like a stray lumber here or there, but I'm not going to go out of my way to grab everyone I see. The Warband bonus returns, and just like the War Within, you get a bonus 5% to experience, and it caps out at 25% or 5 alts. For those of you looking to have a stable of alts to choose from by the time Season 1 starts, you're gonna, best practices is you want to work on one alt at a time to make the most out of that bonus. My testing here wasn't very extensive, but traditionally, a combination of outdoor content, delve quests, and dungeon spam, that works well for alts as a strong leveling source with some switching up to keep you entertained. During this period, if time permits, I want to try and complete as much of the side quest content as possible, but I'm also going to be soaking it all in. I'm going to be actually like reading the quest text and all that because I didn't do any of that side stuff during the beta. Now, last expansion, during the War Within, I assigned a zone to an alt, and I did all the side quests, but it was spread across multiple characters. Now, in hindsight, I feel like that was a big old mistake. Well, I mean, yeah, I got them all done, but I wasn't very happy being back on my actual character, seeing all these quests that they didn't technically do. Now, I know it's not really that big of a deal. I just feel better having my actual main looking like they have completed everything. And maybe it's when I'm doing side quest stuff, maybe then I'll go for like the lumber collecting with the goal of unlocking mounted gathering for the future. But I'm still not going to prioritize it very high because I don't imagine me using that lumber very, very quickly. I also want to point out, because of the timing of things, the Dark Moon Fair happens to begin this coming Sunday, although there is a non-zero chance the buff that provides experience and rep bonuses that might not work. For now though, let's assume that it does. Some folks who might be racing for reputation, they might be interested in saving their efforts at getting side quests and heck, the leveling done. They might save that for later. Now I try to balance efficiency and mental health, so I'm going to want to do everything that I can when I can. So a practice like that with trying to optimize the rep and experience gains, not something I'm going to be doing. But those of you who don't care for early access might want to drop by the fair to pick up those buffs or some hats to maintain those XP bonuses. One thing to also possibly think about is whatever endeavors we're given at the start of Midnight's general release, so I'm kind of thinking a bit further ahead. When an endeavor is active, the related zone happens to scale to your current level, turning it into a place that might be viable for some leveling. Without knowing what the lineup of endeavors are though, the best I could say is to just keep an eye on them as a possible leveling activity. There are certain resources I'll be keeping an eye out during early access because the economy in the first days of the War Within, for example, it was all sorts of weird. Now, much of it was due to instability on the part of like the auction house servers, but my eyes are going to be on maybe cheap leather and cloth goods. The materials and cheap crafted stuff like bracers, they can potentially sell well as things to use as enchanting materials. Also early on, Dark Moon cards are the so-called easiest to acquire epics during the preseason, which can then be broken down for more materials. The thing is, the disenchanting and shattering process, it's a lot cleaner at midnight than it was during the War Within, so enchanting materials, they might end up a lot more volatile than they normally are, although this is all very speculative, don't take my word for it, okay? And I'm going to stop here. You can kind of consider this now like a part 1 of the launch guide, where we cover mostly early access stuff, and we'll cover the more general stuff, or general launch stuff a little bit later, where we might have learned a few new things worth sharing. But for now, I hope this helped. Please like the video, subscribe for more WoW coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.